everyone. I am here today to talk about the quadratic formula. It's so exciting. Ooh, ooh, ooh. We're about to get started. But before we get started, I would like to share some of my products with you so that you can have resources to work in. Now, I have this math practice notebook, right? This is an all-in-one math practice notebook. You have line paper, you have graph paper, you have dot paper and blank paper, all in one. So you don't have to get several different notebooks to do math, okay? This is excellent for SAT, ACT, GED, anything math related, okay? Now, also have graph books if you just want to stick to having a graph paper book, okay? I have graph paper book with wonderful covers. And I have notebooks and all different colors and sizes and all different wonderful covers, okay? Different covers, sizes, and colors. All right, so that's it. And I have planners and business planners and so many different wonderful things. I have over 300 products that I have created, and I will leave everything below, especially for school alphabet books and timetable books and all those wonderful things. Okay, so let's get to the meat and the potatoes of the lesson. All righty. So quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is extremely important. Okay, extremely important. So let me share something with you so we can get started. Okay, let's see if you can see it, everything. Okay, now, let me move this here. Okay, so quadratic formula. Okay, now the reason that the quadratic formula is so important is because you can use it to solve any and all quadratic equations. Any equation, all equations that you want to solve, you can solve it using this formula, which make it extremely powerful. You can solve for real solutions. You can solve for imaginary solutions. You can solve for rational and irrational numbers. You can solve for anything that you want to if you use this formula correctly. And this is what makes it so powerful. And congratulations for making it to this stage where you're now dealing with imaginary numbers. Before then, you will put prime or no solution, but math is opening up. So now you're coming into the imaginary world of solutions. So welcome to the family. Okay, now, when you're dealing with the quadratic formula, you deal with this when you're dealing with the quadratic equations. You're using this formula to solve quadratic equations. And right here, let me put this right here if I can. This is called the general quadratic equation. This is the form of it. Sometimes they say standard, sometimes they say general, okay? So basically it's ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, okay? Now, as you look, it's in descending order. This is 2, the b to the x is supposed to be 2, 1, and then this would be x squared. X squared means there's no x's, okay? So it's in descending order or decreasing order. The terms are going down based on the exponents, okay? Now, when you go through and you solve the quadratic formula, you have to know what the a, b, and c is that you need to substitute into the quadratic formula, okay? Now, this is called a quadratic formula because it's to the second power, okay? We're no longer dealing with lines or linear equations. We're dealing with parabolas or parabolas, however you pronounce it, right? Looks like a U opening upwards, you know, if it's positive, or looking downwards if it's negative, okay? So you probably have learned that by now. Okay, so let's move down a little too bit. Let me do this really quick. All righty. All right, so let's see. Can you see this? Yeah, just be patient, please. I'm trying to get rid of this if I can. All righty. Now, so the quadratic formula, let me go through and Okay, make this a little bit bigger for you all so that you can see it. Okay, oops, that's not what I want you to see. That's my advertisement. Okay, so the quadratic formula, I have something blocking it on my end, but it might not be blocked on your end. So I'm just going to read it. The quadratic formula, which you can see, you should be able to see it on the bottom. I'm just trying to see what's going on with this. How can I get rid of this? Okay. Oh, this is crazy. It's always something. It's always something. Okay. All right, so let me just go back. Let me go back. Okay. So the quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay. Now with enough practice, going over it back and forth, you will memorize this formula. Okay. So x equals negative b plus and minus, because it's quadratic, so you need two signs so you can get two answers, square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, what? All over what? Right, 2a. Okay, so that's the quadratic equation or quadratic formula. Now, like I said before, it's very powerful because you can plug in things. Anything that's a quadratic equation, if you're trying to solve it, you can solve it with this formula. All right, so let's go to the next thing. All righty. All right. Sometimes people have technical difficulties when you least suspect them. You know what I mean? Everybody know what I mean? So let's go to the next page. Okay, they want to show you my advertisement so bad. Oh my goodness. Now, we're going to do this problem first. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is show you how everything goes into the quadratic formula. I wanted to show you on the other side, but it was too much going on for me, so we're going to do it here. All right, so what I would like to do is, okay, so you see x squared plus 7x plus 12 equals 0. All right, so what we're going to do first is go through and identify what the A, the B, and the C is in the equation, okay? So what I did right here, I put down the standard, or you can say general equation first, so that we can kind of see what matches up to what. All right, now, so the A is the number that's in front of the X, okay? If you don't see a number, you know that it should be 1. 1 is understood to be in front of every variable, which is a letter. If you don't see it, every variable has a number. If you don't see the number, it's a 1. If you see a negative in front of it, it's a -1. So A is 1. B is going to be positive 7 or 7. And C is going to be 12. Okay? So we have A equals 1, B equals 7, and we have C equals 12. Okay? A, B, and C. All right, now, if you have 3 terms, A, B, and C, if one of the terms, if one of the terms is missing, then you want to make that 0 when you substitute it. However, an x squared has to be in it in order for it to be quadratic. So if the x squared is missing, that means it's not quadratic. It might be linear. Okay, so A is 1, B is 7, C is 12. All right, now, let's go through it again. And what did we say the quadratic formula was? X equals negative b plus or minus, or plus and minus, square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, now our plus and minus is extremely important because we have to have 2 signs to get 2 answers. Sometimes the answer comes out as 1, and that's called one unique solution, but it's really representing two. It's just one number, and we're not going to write it twice. Okay. Now, so we have this. Now, A is equal to 1. So what we do next, we substitute, we plug in. So teachers love to say plug in. We plug in A where A is, and B where B is, and so on and so forth. So let's go through and plug these numbers in. Okay, so you write down X equals. Some teachers will take off if you don't write X equals. So please write X equals and break everything down, okay? Now, negative B, we said B was 7, okay? We said B was 7, so we're going to say negative, and I'm going to put 7 in parentheses. So you can get used to writing the parentheses, because sometimes the B is negative, and I just want you to get in the mindset of writing that parentheses, because sometimes that really saves a person, okay? Negative 7, negative of 7 plus or minus square root of, okay, so B again is 7. 7, you can put in parentheses. I'll do it again. 7 squared minus, or 7 to the second power, 4 times, I'm going to put in parentheses, 4 times 1 and times C. And C is 12. Okay, so anytime we have 4AC, when the letters or the variables are connected to the number, it's multiplication. 4 times A times C. So I'm going to write 4 times 1 times 12, okay? I'm writing that the same way. And this is all over. The line doesn't stop. It starts from the beginning after the equal sign, and it goes all the way to the end of the number. All over 2 times A, and A is 1, okay? Now, once you do this, you quickly go back and double check and make sure you did everything correctly. Negative B, that's negative 7, plus or minus square root, B squared is 7 squared, minus 4A times 1, C times 12, all over 2 times A. Okay, good. You always want to double check your problem, because anybody can make a mistake, leave a sign out, skip a number, and so on and so forth. Okay, now from here, we're going to break it down. So X equals, okay, negative 7. Okay, negative in front of a 7 is negative 7, plus or minus. Okay, so you make sure you make your square root. Some kids or people leave the square root out. Please don't. 7 squared is what? 49. Minus 4 times 12 is 48. All over 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so you have X equals negative 7 plus or minus 49 minus 48. It's 1, so you can square root of 1. You can write square root, or you don't have to, but I'm gonna do it because I'm doing step by step. All over 2. Okay, so X equals negative 7 plus or minus square root of 1 is 1 over 2. Okay, now at this point, you can go through and break the answers into 2 parts, the one with the plus and the one with the subtraction. So I'm going to say X equals negative 7 plus 1 over 2. Okay. And over here, okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and do that answer. Okay, that would be negative 7 plus 1 is negative 6 over 2, which is a negative 3. Okay. X equals a negative 3. Okay, negative 6 over 2 is negative 3. And then I do the other one. I'll say X equals negative 7 minus 1 all over 2. And negative 7 and a negative 1 is a negative 8 over 2. I put over 4. You know, sometimes you say stuff and then you write something else, right? Right, that's what we do. That's how we get down. Okay, negative 8 over 2, which is X is equal to negative 4. Okay, so the two answers are X equals negative 3 and X equals negative 4. Okay, X equals negative 3 and X equals negative 4. Okay, so that's for the first one, X squared plus 7X plus 12. Okay, now, if you wanted to check it, guess I can take some time to do that. Let me slide the answers over here. Let me slide everything up and put it over here and erase it later. So we said the answer was X. So first of all, let me put down what the original question was, okay? The original question is X squared plus 7X plus 12 equals 0. And let's say we try to go back. I'll go back so you can see how you can check this. So I'll go back on this one. Okay, so you have x equals -3, and you have x equals -4. Okay, now originally, if you go backwards, x was equal to 3. Okay, and then when you solve it, when you set it equal to 0, you know, that's when, so originally it was something like this. Okay, x plus 3 equals 0. Okay, and so you would subtract 3 from both sides, and so you say x equals -3. So originally it was x plus 3. Okay, now originally for the x minus 4, it was really x plus 4 equals 0. It's like the inverse. Okay, the additive inverse. So you subtract 4 from both sides, and then you get x equals -4. Okay, so originally it was x plus 4. Okay, so I'm going to take what it was originally. So this is x plus 3, and then this is x plus 4, right? Equals 0. Okay, now when you have something like this, I'll do the Fourier method really quick since I went this route. Okay, so the Fourier method, you know, you have your first, your outer, your inner, and your last. Okay, so the first term, x times x is x squared. X times 4, outermost is 4x. Innermost, 3 times x is 3x. And then last is 3 times 4, which is 12. Okay, and then when you go and combine like terms, you get x squared, and you add these like terms. 3x and 4x is 7x, okay, plus 12, and equals 0. Okay, and so this was the original problem, and I just showed you how to go backwards and check and do those wonderful things. Okay, so I added something extra. It was supposed to be all quadratic formula, but sometimes, if you know me, I do a little extra when it comes to math, and I love to explain. So I threw a little extra gem inside. Okay, a diamond, some extra knowledge. Okay. All right, so let me go ahead and erase this and try to stay on track. When it comes to math, I love math so much. Sometimes it's hard to stay on track, if you know what I mean. Okay, so let's do the second one. All right, so we're looking at the second problem. Now, the second problem says x squared minus 8 equals 2x. Now, first of all, I already told you you have to have it in standard or general formula first to start. Okay, and when you look at this, is this standard or general formula? Is this the standard or general equation? I'm sorry. No, because over here you only have 2 things on the left side versus the general formula where you have 3 terms on the left side. So that means something has to be moved over to the left to make sure that it has 3. Okay, so I'm going to bring it under. Okay, so let me erase this and let me put the equation under so you can actually see it like this. Okay, equals 2x. This is what you have. Now the 2x is supposed to be on the left side. So we want it to equal 0. So what we're going to do, we're going to subtract 2x from both sides. Okay. Now 2x is not a like term with 8 or with x squared. So when we put it on this side, it's going to be standing individually. It's not going to be joined together to get a 10 or 2x squared, anything like that. So I'm going to write everything in descending order. All the unlike terms are going to be beside each other, not joined as one. And this is going to be equal to 0. Okay, so let me make it a little bit neater. Try to stay on the line if I can, at least use the line, but I'm pretty creative, artsy and things like that. So I might go over the line, under the line, between the line. Okay, so it's x squared. Is x squared minus 2x. X squared minus 2x minus 8. And I just want to bring this up a little bit. Now, as you do these math problems, okay, I want you to consistently check and make sure everything is right. Well, that's what I do. I consistently go over because I really want to make sure I get the right answer. Okay, x squared minus 8 equals 2x. what I did, subtract the 2x from both sides. I brought it over. X squared minus 2x minus 8 equals 0. Okay, everything looks good. Okay. Now, everything is in descending order or decreasing order. Okay, so we're going to say what A is. A is 1. B is -2. And C is -8. Okay. So remember, the coefficient is the number in front of the variable. If you don't see a number, it's a 1. In front of 2, we're gonna make this a -2. The subtraction 2 becomes a -2, and the 8 becomes a -8. You take the sign in front of it. If it's a subtraction, when you bring it down as an integer, it will become a negative. Subtractions change to negatives, and negatives change to subtraction when you're going back and forth from being in the equation to being out of the equation. Okay, so A is 1, B is -2, and C is -8. All right, so the next thing I want to do is go through real quick and write the equation, wonderful equation down, wonderful formula. X equals -b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, okay? With practice and practice and practice, you will be able to get this right, okay? And it becomes fun after a while. You know, it becomes fun. You be like, okay, you can make a little rap, a little song, you can do a little something, make it come true, you know? So, okay. All right, so let's go through and substitute. So A is 1, so you bring down X equals. B is -2, so bring down the negative that's already here. And in parentheses, you put your -2 for your B. See that? Plus or minus square root of b squared. So b is a -2 squared minus 4. And then remember right here, a is being multiplied, put in parentheses. A is 1, and c is going to be -8. And it's all over 2 times a. A is 1. Okay, you go through it real quick. You look, -b, negative of a -2, plus or minus b squared, -2 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1 times c, which is -8, all over 2 times a. Okay, I got it. Okay, now you go through and say a equals negative times the negative is a what, is a what, is a what. Very good, positive. Okay, so that would be, I'll keep it blue. So that would be +2 plus or minus square root of, okay, -2 squared is -2 times -2. Okay, it's a twin squared. So that's 4. Okay, negative times a negative is a positive. So that's a plus. And 4 times 1 times 8 is 32. Okay, all over 2, because 2 times 1 is 2. Now, x equals 2 plus or minus square root of 4 plus 32 is 36 all over 2. Okay. Now you have x equals 2 plus or minus square root of 36 is 6, because you're thinking about a twin pair that's under the radical. Okay. Or under the square root. And it's going to be 6 all over 2. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is bring this up because I need some space. So I'm going to have x equals 2 plus or minus 6 over 2. Okay, so you have x equals 2 plus 6. Wait a minute. I smell something. I want to make sure everything is okay. And give me a second. I smell something and I want to make sure we are not on fire. Hey, I'm back. Everything is okay. Everything is good. But just the candle, sometimes the candle smell like something that's burning. All right, now, so let's get back on track. All right, 2 plus or minus 6. 2 plus 6 over 2. All right. Oh my goodness. I was like, what's that smell? Okay. Whoo. 8 over 2, which is 4. And then the next one will be x equals 2 minus 6 over 2, which is negative 4 over 2, which is negative 2. Okay. So, let me make sure I have everything. Okay, and remember we're talking about this problem right here. Okay, so the problem was x squared minus 2x minus 8. Multiply to get 8, you subtract to get 2, 6. Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, so for this one, I'm not going to go back and do the check. I did the check on the first one. So let's go to the next problem. All right, and clear all. All righty. And let's see. Let me do a new share. I believe it's this one. Let's see. Hopefully no surprises. Okay, that's the same one. Okay, let me look real quick. Okay, so I'm going to share. All right, it's kind of hard to see, but let's see if that's it. Am I still the same thing? All right, let me do a new share. So I'm showing you all this in real time. You seeing a real deal. Okay. Okay, the computer keeps saying crazy stuff. Why y'all keep doing that to me? Not that one. Okay, let's see what it has here for me. Right here. Okay. So hopefully you all can see this because I see it very clear. Let's see if you all can see this now. Okay, it will not share it. Okay. So just be patient because I'm going to do everything in real time. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat anything because people do make mistakes or things do happen. And so we are experiencing things in the real world. Now, okay, here we go. And I am sorry that, things are not perfect, but in math, there's a lot of mistakes. I'm going to show you the real deal. Okay, now, number 3, you have x squared minus 17x plus 12. Now, by looking at this, I know that it's not factorable. And I'm going to show you how I know this. And I know this because when you're trying to factor a trinomial, you look at the last term when it's in descending order. You're looking for multiples of 12, like 3 and 4, 2 and 3 and 4, 2 and 6, 1 and 12. Two multiples of 12, when you add, you get 17. When you add 1 and 12, you get 13. When you add 2 and 6, you get 8. And when you add 3 and 4, you get 7. So none of those pairs will give us 17. So right here, I know that I am dealing with a complex solution, imaginary solution. So we will see what's going to happen. Okay. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we can do this. Imaginary. Let me see something real quick. Okay. Imaginary, irrational. Okay, something that's not going to be real. Okay, so let's say that. Let's say something that's not going to give us a rational equation. Okay, something with a whole number. All right, so let me see. I'm trying to get my utensil together. Okay, so we go back through it again. Ax squared. This is called the what? The what? The what equation? Right, the quadratic standard or general equation. So I'm going back through it again. Put a plus, C equals 0. Okay. So sometimes when you do quadratic equations, sometimes you don't get a whole integer or whole number. Sometimes you do get irrational numbers, which are numbers that are non-terminating. They go on and on and on, like the square root of 5 or the square root of 11, something like that. And then sometimes Okay. So that's prayer time for me. So like I said, everything's in real time. So yeah, so let me finish up and do my thing. Okay, so we're gonna see. Sometimes it's not a neat answer. Okay, so sometimes it might be irrational where you have a decimal, or sometimes it might be imaginary. Okay, so I know when I did this, I wasn't going to get a rational number. Okay, it's either going to be irrational or it's going to be imaginary. Okay, so let's go on. Now, as we go through this, A is what? A is 1. B is -17. C is 12. Okay, my handwriting is getting crazy. So I do the formula again. X equals what? X equals what? What? X equals what? Huh? X equals what? X equals -b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over what? All over what? All over what? 2a. Okay. Okay. Now, X equals, so B is -17, so put negative, and for B in parentheses, I put -17, plus or minus, square root. B again is -17 squared, minus 4. A is what? 1. C is what? 12. Very good. All over 2 times what? Times 1. You do this, you go back and check. -b, negative of a -7 plus or minus square root b squared. B is -17 squared minus 4. A is 1 times C is 12 all over 2a. Once you have checked it, you feel confident, you go to the next spot. Negative times a negative is a positive, so this is 17 plus or minus 17 squared, I believe, is 289. Let me see. Let me have a calculator with me. Okay, 289. Yep. And okay. And then you have -4 times 12, which is a -48. You have that. And all of this is over 2 times 1, which is 2. Okay, so you have X equals 17 plus or minus square root of, and you subtract that real quick, you get 241 all over 2. Okay, now at this point, some teachers do want you to break it down. Now square root of 241 is not a perfect square root. So some teachers will allow this, or some teachers might want you to want to see the separation of the two. So you can do this 17 plus square root of 241 over 2. And then you have X equals 17 minus square root of 241 over 2. Okay. Now, some teachers actually, now when you keep it under the square root, it's considered to be the exact value because it holds all the values together. Once you take it out and square root it, you have to round it because, like I said, it's going to be a non-terminating decimal. So you might have to round it. And sometimes rounding something takes away the significance because it can go up to the billionth term or whatever, and you're rounding it to the hundredths or the 10th place. So for right now, I'm going to just leave it as is because I'm going to keep it as exact value. However, most times teachers do tell you to round to nearest hundredths place or the nearest 2 decimal place, the same thing. Okay. And so if you were to do that, then you would take that number and add it to 17, and that will come out a decimal divided by 2, and your answer will be a decimal for both of those solutions. Okay. So for the last one, 2x squared minus 8x minus 24. So we have this in descending order because remember it's ax squared minus plus bx plus c equals 0. Okay. So A is 2, B is -8, and C is -24. Okay, A is the coefficient in front of x squared, B is the coefficient in front of x, C is the constant, which is the number, which is -24. We commonly rewrite the quadratic formula. X equals -b plus or minus for 2 solutions, square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so X equals Negative b is an 8, so negative of a negative 8 plus or minus square root of b again is a negative 8 squared minus 4. A is 2 and c is negative 24. Okay, all of this is over 2 times a, which is 2 times 2, which is 4. But we'll get to that next. So a negative times a negative is a positive. So remember, when you put a subtraction or a negative in front of something already, it changes whatever it was to the opposite. So if the 8 was positive, it would have changed to a negative 8. The 8 is negative, it would change it to a negative 8. It basically has the power to change whatever the sign is originally to the opposite. Okay. Phew. All right. So negative times negative is positive. So that's positive 8. Negative times negative is positive. Okay. Plus or minus square root of 8. Okay. 8 negative 8 times negative 8. Remember, anything squared in the parentheses, you say it twice. Okay. So negative 8 times a negative 8 is 64 minus. Okay. And then I have, let me see, because I had put this down already. Okay. That's going to be 192 negative 4 times 2 times negative 24. 4, that's 4 times 2, which is 8. And 8 times 24, which is 192. So this is a negative times a negative, which is a positive. Okay, positive 192. Very good. Okay, all of this is over 4. Okay, so you get x equals 8 plus or minus square root of 64 plus 192. I did it really quick. Is 556 all over 4. Okay, so you have x equals 8 plus or minus square root of 256 is 16 all over 4. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna erase this side because I want to use that space. I'm going back and forth so you can see everything, and I don't want to be crowded. You're like, oh my goodness, and I do not want to miss any steps. I'm famous for step-by-step instruction. Okay, let me do that real quick. Okay, so I have 8 plus or minus 16, 8 plus or minus 16 over 4. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, what part do I want to do? I'm going to separate it. I'm going to do x equals 8 plus 16 over 4. And then I'm going to do x equals 8 minus 16 over 4. Okay, now I'm going to put them over here. Okay, so x equals 8 plus 16 over 4. So 8 plus 16 is what? 24, right? So that's 24 over 4, which equals what? What's 4 into 24? Should be 6. Okay, and then the second one I'm going to put over here with the subtraction sign is x equals 8 minus 16 over 4. Okay, 8 minus 16 will be a negative 8 over 4, and that would be a negative 2. So the answers is x equals 6 and x equals negative 2 for the last questions. Okay, so don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more wonderful realistic math videos. Okay, so let me erase this. Okay, so basically, like I said, the quadratic formula is extremely important because you can solve every quadratic equation using this formula, whether it's real, whether it's imaginary. You can solve for rational numbers, irrational numbers, anything your heart desire, you can use this formula. Of course, in algebra, you can use it in physics, and in calculus, you'll be learning how to derive this beautiful formulas. And as you go on, you'll be doing something called the discriminant rule when you go through and figure out if you have real solutions and fake solutions, or unique solutions. And so this formula right here really helps people out, especially if you're having issues with factoring. Okay, you can find the root, but you just have to remember, when you find the root, you have to change it to the inverse because it was something plus something to get equal to something. So when you change it, you're going to change, your roots are actually the inverse of what will be inside of the parentheses for the factoring. So you just have to remember that if you just want to stick to this, because you don't want to put what it actually say, like x equals 2, and then you go back to the parentheses and you put in x plus 2 for the answer. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed the video and it wasn't too much realistic stuff going on, because I thought it was the fire, and then my prayer time came on, and now I got clients calling me left and right. So this is the real deal. That's how I do it. I got a couple of, I'm a business owner, and I have like 16 tutors, and I have a lot of clients. So I just wanted to take some time and share my passion with you in the midst of my busy day, because I love teaching and tutoring mathematics. So hopefully you got a lot out of this, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll talk to you soon. Peace. All righty, I'm out. I'm out. If I can get out of here.